So we picked a thread, we set up our machine, it's all calibrated and threaded. I picked a stabilizer and fabric and hooped up my project. So that means we are ready to do a stitch out. So the very first thing I'm going to do is connect my hoop, because the machine will want the hoop connected when I start editing, so I'm just going to do it right now. So I'm going to find the hoop connector on my hoop, which is right here on the side. And we're just going to make sure the presser foot is up first, and then we'll slide the hoop right under it. You can lift the presser foot a little bit further if you need to get the hoop under it. And now I'm going to slide the hoop connector right into the hoop connection assembly right here. And you want to make sure you slide it in until it snaps into place so that the machine knows that it's connected. Okay, so let's go over how we choose a design. This is our home screen when our machine is on. So the lower icon right here is all of your fonts. So if we click on that, you can see that there's a bunch of fonts you can use to personalize your projects and type out words. It's pretty straightforward, just like typing. Everyone's used to typing. So that's how you navigate there. We're going to go back to the home screen. The upper icon is your embroidery design icon. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And we are going to go over both how to choose a design built into the machine and on the USB stick. So let's do the USB stick first. So that is this little guy right here. The USB stick plugs into the machine on the side. There's this little hatch that just opens like a little door. And the USB stick is going to go right in just like a computer USB drive, like that. So now if we go back to our screen, you can see that right down here in the corner, there's the option for the machine designs and the option for the USB stick. So we're going to click the USB stick, and you'll see a few folders here. So the design book and the individual design information, those are both different PDFs that you can open on your computer and use to browse the designs to choose them. And the individual designs have really useful info on them, and this is where you find out your thread color and the order, so that you know which thread colors come when in the design. So you can look at those on your computer and print them out to have as reference. The embroidery designs are actually in the folder called Design Data, so we're going to select that and click OK. And I'm going to select Design 111, so that means I'm going to choose this folder and click OK. And then choose Design 111 and click OK. So you'll see that my embroidery design loaded. Alrighty, so let's say I want to pick a different design. I'm going to go to the Home button again and click on the embroidery icon. And this time I'm going to pick a built-in design from the machine. So the machine is selected, and I'm going to type the number. So I'm going to do design number 60 and click OK. And that's going to load. Alright, so let's go over what all of these menu screens are. The first one that opens is the Design Position menu. So this is how you can move your design around within the hoop. So if I use these arrows, I can move it up, I can move it over, and if I want to recenter it, I can just click that button and it'll go back to the center. Keep in mind that your design, depending how big it is, that will determine how far you can move it. So if you're trying to move it and it eventually says no, you can't move it anymore, it's probably because it's at the edge of the hoop. The second icon is the rotate icon. So this will allow you to rotate your design by clicking on this rotate icon, and it will tell you at the top, give you a little picture of the machine there to show you the orientation of your design and how much you've rotated it. This screen also allows you to mirror your design, so you can mirror top to bottom like that, or you can mirror left to right. The third menu is the Scale menu. This is how you control the size of your design. So you can scale up and down 20% in 5% increments. And again, depending on your design size, there may be a maximum that you hit that it'll beep at you, because my design is already big enough and it's filling up the hoop, so it can't make it any bigger. So just keep that in mind. And if you're scaling and you decide that you want to go back to just the default size, you can hit this button right here and it'll go back to 0% scale. This fourth menu is giving you some info about your hoop and about your embroidery stitch out. So this first little button is telling you your hoop size. So it's saying that you need to use the 260 by 150 hoop. The second button is the Trace Design button. So this is going to help you position your design on your fabric. So if you hit it, it's going to toggle through the 4 corners and the center of your embroidery design. So this is going to help you make sure that you've really hooped up your fabric in the right position so that you're happy with where it's going to stitch out on your fabric. The third button, this is Activate Baste function. So when this is highlighted, your machine will start by stitching a square of basting stitches around your embroidery area. This is useful if you are doing hoopless embroidery, like we discussed in the episode about how to hoop up your project. And just in general, if you think your fabric might be a little shifty, you can activate this and it will help secure the fabric to the stabilizer. The last button is the monochrome button. So when you select that, it will stitch out everything in one thread color. So if you have a multi-color design and this is activated, it won't stop and tell you to change thread colors. It will just go through all the colors as one. This last screen is going to give you some info about your stitch out. So this first set of numbers shows you the number of stitches left in the current thread color, and the second number is the number of stitches left in the overall design. And then this second portion is showing you your thread colors. So it's saying that it's on one of 2 thread colors. And again, as a reminder, your thread color information is on those PDFs that are on your USB stick. It will tell you the color order and what colors are which numbers. Alrighty, so we are ready to stitch out our design. So I'm going to go ahead and lower the presser foot so the machine is ready. I'm just going to gently hold onto the tail as I start, and I'm going to push the Start/Stop button, which is over here under the screen, and the machine will start stitching. And then it's going to stop, and there's a little icon on the screen that looks like a pair of scissors. This is just telling you to trim the thread tail from the beginning. So I'm going to put the presser foot up just to make it easier to access. And then we will trim the thread tail, and then I'll put the presser foot back down, click OK, and then push the Start/Stop button just to keep embroidering. And it's going to stitch out my first color. So my machine is done stitching out the first color. It stopped, and there's a message on the screen saying change to color 2. So I'm just going to rethread my upper thread. I'll put my presser foot up first, and then I will take off my spool cap, take off my thread, and I'm going to grab my second thread color, which is going to be this kind of fuchsia color, and then I'll put my spool cap on. And when you're rethreading your machine, it's just like normal. We're going to follow the thread path. Don't really have to do anything special. We'll hit our thread guide and then use our needle threader to thread our needle. And so that's all there is to changing a thread color. So when we are ready to start again, we're going to put our presser foot down, and I will click OK on the screen and then hit the Start/Stop button. And it's going to do the same thing again. It'll stitch a little bit and then stop and tell you to trim the thread tail. So I'll lift the presser foot, trim that initial thread tail, put the presser foot back down, and then push Start/Stop to just keep going. So let's say your thread runs out or breaks or something else happens during embroidery and your machine stops. We're going to do a little troubleshooting and go over what you do. So if I look down here, we've pretended that my thread ran out, so we cut the thread off. There's no thread going through the needle. So the first thing we're going to do is rethread. So I'm going to put my presser foot up, and then I'm just going to thread like normal. So take our thread, follow the thread path that we've been following, and use my needle threader to thread the eye of the needle. So whenever your thread runs out or your embroidery stops mid-stitch out, it's always good to go back a few stitches so there's some overlap so that you don't have a gap or a kind of loose-looking spot in your embroidery. So to do that, we're going to go to our screen and look at our stitch counter. So we're going to back up about 3 or 4 stitches. It kind of depends, but you can just look at your design, and you want to back up to a few stitches before your thread ran out or a few stitches before it looks thin, and just so there's enough overlap. So if we go back to our foot, we're going to put our presser foot down, And I'm going to push start stop and it'll start stitching. And again, it's going to stop and tell me to cut the thread tail. So I will put my presser foot down and push start stop and keep on going like nothing happened. So the machine is all done embroidering. Now it's time to take the hoop off. To do that, I'm going to raise the presser foot and then find the hoop connection on the side here and push the release lever down. Gently slide the hoop towards me. And remember, you can raise the presser foot even a little further if you need to get the hoop under it. And here is my beautiful finished embroidery. So now you know all the basic info you need to get started embroidering. Remember to check your manual because there's tons more info in there about using your machine. Thanks for watching and have fun embroidering.